definitely a city of turbulence. For centuries, the three major monotheistic faiths, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, have fought for dominance over this holy land. Their reasons have all been different for wanting the land, but they all share the same motive: to live and worship in their holy land in peace. We as the UN feel every person in Israel has a right to worship anywhere they want to, without an argument. Past efforts to resolve this issue have failed, such as the partition recommendation and the Balfour Declaration, and have even led to more intense conflicts. We hope to resolve this issue today in a mutual way that terminates this destructive violence that is staining the purity of all three religions. The representative of Judaism can come up now.
Beginning in 1881, many Jews were killed in a series of massacres called pogroms. Many Jews saw an independent Jewish state in Palestine as the best escape from anti-Semitism. They established a movement called Zionism to establish such a state. In the late 1800s, Palestine was a poor, thinly populated region ruled by the Muslim Ottoman Empire. Most of the Palestine's people were Muslim Arabs, though a small number of Jews also lived there. The Zionists bought land in Palestine and established farming communities. The first all-Jew city, Tel Aviv, was founded in 1909. During World War I, 1914 to 1918, many Jews in Palestine fought with the British against the Ottomans. In 1917, the United Kingdom issued the Balfour Declaration, supporting the idea of a Jewish national home in Palestine. In addition, the United Kingdom promised Arab leaders support for an Arab state. The Arabs believed the state would include Palestine. As you can see, the Jewish have never had a true place that they could call their home. They deserve one, especially after the Holocaust. During the Holocaust, firing squads shot more than 1 million Jews. About 4 million more were killed in concentration camps. Many others died from disease and starvation. By 1945, about 6 million Jews had been murdered, 2 of every 3 European Jews. The Holocaust left the Jewish people wounded in spirit and greatly reduced in numbers, but out of the tragedy came a new determination to establish a Jewish state in Palestine. The Arabs there continued to oppose this plan, and violence often broke out between Arabs and Jews. In 1947, the United Nations recommended that Palestine be divided into Arab and Jewish states. The Jewish state, which called itself Israel, declared its independence on May 14, 1948. The next day, neighboring Arab countries invaded Israel. Israel defeated the invaders, and hundreds of thousands of Jews flocked to the Jewish state. Today, Jewish life continues to thrive, both in Israel and in the diaspora. But the Jews of each area face many challenges. The Jews of Israel still face the threat of conflict with neighboring Arab states. In addition, they must confront the social, military, and moral issues stemming conflict with the Palestinian Arabs living in the lands occupied by Israel. Israel still flourishes as a refugee for Jews. Among the most recent immigrants and hundreds of thousands of Jews from Russia, Ukraine, and other former republics of the Soviet Union, the large number of immigrants has led to this overcrowding of unemployment. And we do have a solution that we've offered, which is a fourth party.
Solution is more along the lines of sharing it rather than owning it ourselves. We'd like to bring up a fourth party. Well, once this idea is set on agreement, we'd like to take that fourth party. We'll decide who that is. But this solution is basically a fourth party will control this land, the land of Jerusalem. And the matter of fact is that this, each of these faiths won't control Jerusalem. This fourth party will, which means that no boundaries will be set, and pretty much we're sharing the land. So That's our solution. Thank you.
The representative from Christianity.
Israel's capital city, Jerusalem, is home to Christians, Jews, and Muslims. The reason for this is because Jerusalem is a holy city for all three of these monotheistic faiths. We are here to represent Christianity. For Christianity, Jerusalem is the birthplace of the religion because Jesus Christ, who is believed to be God on earth, spread and preached Christianity throughout Jerusalem. Jesus Christ was crucified as a martyr in 30 AD. He also rose from the dead and had the Last Supper there as well. For those of you who don't know, the Last Supper was the last meal Jesus Christ had with his disciples preceding to his arrest and crucifixion by the Romans about 2,000 years ago. During the time between the 11th and 14th century, a series of wars occurred between the Christians and the Seljuk Turks, Muslims, called the Crusades. These wars were fought over the Holy Land, Jerusalem, and before the war began, the Christians owned it. Christians won battles but ended up losing the Crusades. The Muslims then had possession of Jerusalem and held the most power. After them, the Jews had the most power and are presently in control. Ever since the Crusades, Christians have held limited power over Jerusalem and barely have any land. Christianity and Jerusalem share many similarities, such as the Old Testament. Many of the biblical stories in Christianity are in Judaism, so why don't we have some power in Jerusalem? This is unfair because Christianity and Judaism are almost the same, yet we are not equal when it comes to Jerusalem. Hannah Walker will take it from here.
Jerusalem is a sacred place for the three monotheistic faiths, yet Christianity is the one religion that deserves to control it the most. According to the 1947 partition document, the UN proposed the partitioning of land, and the Christians supported this idea, although they were not even included in the proposal. This proves the fathers of Christianity are willing to share and want to create peace. The Christian religion is constantly being left out of everything, and holds no power over land in Jerusalem. The Arabs and Palestinians control the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. Most of the population residing there is Muslim, although a small percentage is Christian. Christianity has the most followers throughout the world, yet the population is rapidly declining due to the fact that their Holy Land was taken from them and never given back. Hebrews have had control over Jerusalem since 1948, when they were given the lands by the UN in response to the Holocaust. Although Christians have also been severely persecuted throughout history, especially in times of Roman control, we have not been awarded any land for our suffering. Also, the Muslim population was given control of Pakistan during the partition of India. Although we feel completely entitled to the land in Jerusalem and know we deserve full control, we have come up with a possible solution that keeps each of the other religions in mind. Our proposal is that the UN declares the land in Jerusalem neutral, and that no one religion is in control of it. It will be open to anyone, and if there is one religion that starts conflict, they will therefore be exiled from their Holy Land in Jerusalem. Thank you.
At this time, could we have the speaker for Islam?
Thank you for allowing us to come here today and allowing us to state our opinion on the current conflict involving Jerusalem today. We are representing the faith of Islam. The city of Jerusalem is a very holy place for our faith, Islam. It is our third most holy city because it is believed that our Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven at the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. As shown in the Palestinian Authority, Muhammad also stated that when we pray to face the direction of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, right now, the percentage of Arabs living in Israel is 34% according to the World Factbook. The population is increasing by 3% each year. The majority of Arabs living in Israel are Muslim, and Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world today. In time, we will have the largest religion in Jerusalem. Therefore, we deserve the city as a holy center because we need a place for our people when we come together peacefully. The Muslims fought against the Christians in the Crusades, which was a holy war that the Muslims won and then gained control of the Holy Land. As stated in the article, Jerusalem Holy Sites, we have many holy sites in Jerusalem, such as Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is a very important place of worship. We also own the majority of the land in Jerusalem. According to the article, Main Events in the History of Jerusalem, We controlled the land that is Jerusalem owned by the Ottoman period, which was from 1517 to 1917. Within this period, the Ottomans had a peaceful takeover of Jerusalem. In 1947, a partition created by the UN dividing Israel into Jewish state and Arab state. Culture Graham states the following information. In May 1498 and 1948, Israel proclaimed an independent state and British withdrew. Many neighboring Arab nations opposed an independent Jewish state declared war and attack. As shown in the document packet, the Balfour Declaration was a document written by the British, supporting the Jews and claiming Jerusalem as their holy land. Soon after, the British rethought the idea and realized that the Jews did not deserve Jerusalem as their holy land. And here's Christine with the section.
Any solutions we would like to propose to those here. According to the document packet, one of the peaceful solutions that we have been striving towards is called Pan-Arabism, which is the concept of all Arabs forming one country in the Middle East and living together in peace. Another concept that we have devised is the creation of the nation of Israel. The latitude line of 32 degrees will be the separation of the two different landowners. Above 32 degrees will be the land of the Israel, and the land below the line will go to the Palestinians. Jerusalem will be controlled by three well-known political and religious figures of three major religious faiths within this conflict: Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. Our final solution, if the other two cannot be accomplished, is to unite the Gaza Strip and the West Bank of Jerusalem and rid the terrorists. Throughout the years, Israel and its capital, Jerusalem, have had many conflicts between the different religions. We would like to find a solution that everyone has agreed upon. The fighting has to stop so that in the future we can live in peace and accept other religions so that the fighting does not escalate any further.
We would like to call the faith of Judaism back up to the stand, please. You are unwilling to accept the 1947 partition plan. You have stood in the way of compromise, and therefore some of the violence between you and the Muslims are your fault. Why should you still hold total power when you were responsible for much of this conflict?
We were not responsible for much of this conflict because if you read correctly the Balfour Declaration of 1947, the UN partition, you claim to give Judaism more land, and when we mapped it out in Jerusalem, we have less land than the Arabs, and we hold 2/3 of the population there. Anything else?
Wait, hold on, like you didn't like them. You
Okay.
didn't like the-
1917, the Balfour Declaration, the British had stated that they were going to help us secure our homeland of Jerusalem, and then they turned their backs on us, and then they decided to help the Arabs. So basically, we're not very trustworthy of the British anymore, and then in 1947 or 37, when the Balfour Declaration was made, you guys said that the Judaism faith would have around 50.37 of the land, and the Arabs would have 46 point something. And when we mapped it out, in truth, the Arabs had more land, and we hold 2/3 of the population there.
How are you justifying you getting more land when Arabs are only getting 43% and you were getting 56%?
Because like I said, when we mapped it out in Jerusalem, in truth, the Arabs were getting more land.
But the document says you.
It was misleading.
How do you know it was misleading if it was? Like, it says you get more land than the Arabs. How are you saying you don't?
Because we documented it, we mapped it out.
Before you stated that the Balfour Declaration was in 2 different years.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it was in 1947.
That was in 1917.
1917. Anything else?
Yeah, okay. You said before that you wanted to, divide Jerusalem and split it up a little bit, but they tried to do that with Berlin after World War II by building the Berlin Wall, and this failed due to the Cold War, and it almost led to nuclear warfare.
When did we say we wanted to divide Jerusalem?
Friends, you said you wanted.
No, we want to have a fourth party own Jerusalem with a treaty with all religions.
We're sharing it.
Like what was the name of that thing that Clinton made a speech about what we should do, his proposal, and he said that we should have a fourth party own Jerusalem by itself that has nothing to do with the conflict, while all three religions make a treaty with it saying that they have to keep peace and all the international community should help defend it.
No, I'm not asking about the fourth party, I'm saying the three faiths are still gonna be living there, right?
Yeah, it's going to be open to all three religions.
Oh, you're not gonna.
No religion should have more say than any other religion, and none of them should hold power because they might get greedy like in the past.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Nicole?
Since you've had events of the Holocaust that you've been persecuted and stuff, and you've been kicked off your land, therefore you got Jerusalem, then why are you doing the same to the other two religions by kicking us off? It's like you're doing the same thing to yourself, to us.
We were not the only religion that got kicked out or kicked out another religion. You guys fought the Holy War of the Crusades, and you kicked out the Muslims.
No,
and
they won.
They won, so
You didn't kick them out.
yeah,
They won,
but
they
then
took it from us.
you gained power back, and then
No,
the
we
Muslims
didn't.
took it back again.
We didn't gain power back. They took it
And
from
we're not
us.
trying to take the land from anyone. We just want to share it.
Then why didn't you share the UN petition? You would still had part of it. We didn't even get land and we supported it.
Because you hold a lot less population there, and the Arabs hold less population than us. We have 2/3 of our population in Jerusalem. How are we going to fit more people on less land?
Because you have more control of it. We have the biggest population in the world. And it's
But I'm not talking about control, I'm talking about the land. How can you fit more people on a smaller amount of land than the other religion who has less people and would have more land?
The reason you have so much people is because you have control there. If you didn't have complete control over Jerusalem, you wouldn't have such a high population.
But you had control of it too.
that was
That was in, like 1,000 years ago.
But you still had control over it.
And then the
we lost
Muslims
it,
took
and
it.
the Muslims took it. And then you took it, and they never got it back. So why do you deserve to have it now?
So what?
Why do you guys deserve to have it now?
We don't want to own it separately. What you guys are trying to say is that, what you're trying to say, I'm thinking, are you trying to say that Judaism should have all of Jerusalem? Is that what you think?
Is
Or
that,
not?
is that what you think?
Do you
saying
think that we're trying to
want
say that we deserve it all by ourselves?
Our solutions.
Because our solutions are all to share Jerusalem with everybody. We don't want to own it. We just want to be able to practice our faith there.
If you pick a fourth party, are the three monotheistic religions going to pick together, or are you going to decide who's the fourth party?
No, all three monotheistic religions would have a say in it, and it would be a fourth party who was very peaceful in the past and has no records of any wars or such. Major.
We have about 30 seconds left for this group to ask questions.
For the U.S. Parliament recommendation, you were against sharing the land. Now, why do you want to share the land? How did you change your mind?
Because with this new treaty that we're trying to propose, we would all be equal. And in the UN partition, we were not equal. The Christians were completely left out of the situation, and the Jews had less land to get.
But the past efforts that you have been doing have only showed that you want control of Jerusalem. You've taken over much of the land, and you continue to take land, and you were against the sharing of the thing, of the partition recommendation. So all of a sudden now you're saying to the group of Christianity that you want just to share the land and you don't want to be in control of it, but your past efforts have not demonstrated.
Neither have your past efforts. You have continuously shown the other side more favorability than the Judaism faith.
What, can you say that again?
You guys backed out of the Balfour Declaration.
No, we didn't. We're not the British, we're the UN.
British is part of the UN.
Yes, so are you. Every country in the world is.
The UN partition, you guys gave more land to the other side rather than us. It wasn't equal.
But that's
If
not.
it had been
you keep saying
50-50
that.
completely,
You keep saying
we would
that
have
it's
been for it.
56% you and 43% Muslim.
Yeah, and then when you map it out, Judaism had less land.
Okay. Wait, would you like to look at the map? Howard?
The British took back the Balfour Declaration after they said that you deserve Jerusalem. Why did the British stop supporting you?
You should ask them, not us. We don't know.
All right.
We're very curious of that one too.
Okay, she's coming back.
Could the representative of Christianity please go over? Nicole?
No.
Oh,
All right. The Crusades was a holy war fought between our two faiths for the land of Jerusalem. We won the Crusades. The land should never have been taken from us. Why do you deserve the land now when we clearly won the fight over it?
We don't think we deserve the whole land. We want to share it because our solution is to keep it neutral, so that nobody fights over it, and then there's not a bunch of war injustices that happen. A lot of people, a lot of lives we lost, and we just want to keep the land neutral. We don't want to have the whole thing.
And the Holy Land should not be decided by a fight. The Holy Land should be peaceful.
When Jerusalem was under your rule, how did you treat non-Christians who entered the city?
The treatment of non-Christians 1,000 years ago when we controlled it was not right, but today, if we still control it, it would not be that way.
Can you be specific? How did you treat them?
That's okay. That's okay. If they don't know, they don't know.
How you will treat them.
Everyone will be treated equally. Anyone can practice whatever religion they want to.
Gabby?
You don't have a high percentage of population. What makes you believe you should get an equal share in the land?
The reason we don't have a high percentage of population is because we're not there, because we've been taken out of that.
Yeah,
We should be there, but we're not.
The Muslim owned it, then the Jews owned it, but we don't have the power now.
When you mean share, do you mean partition it equally in land or keep the entire thing neutral, and who would be controlling?
We believe the UN should control it, and anyone who decides to fight should be exiled.
And nobody's going to be actually living in there because that happened before and it didn't work out.
Ranger?
See, if you think that, how can an entire religion be exiled when one person starts in trouble?
Not the entire religion. The group of individuals that would start the fighting would be removed from the Holy Land.
But do you think that they'll go peacefully? They may start more conflict.
They'll be forcibly removed by the
How do you
UN.
suppose
By
you're going
UN
to
troops.
defend?
If people live in Jerusalem, then there's going to be the conflict. If everybody can go there without having that type of a conflict as being a war, then nobody's gonna start getting mad. If everybody can go there, but at the same time not
What
having
about
to
the
share it.
extremist groups who interpret the Quran differently, or the extremist groups from any other religion?
The troops of the UN should step in and take them out. They have more power than any of those groups do, so they should have the power to remove them.
You say that you want to keep the conflict down, but by exiling those people or those little groups, it may spark up more.
Exiling the people who are causing the problem would not create more problem.
How would you know?
There's always going to be people who are not going to agree. It's not like it's going to work out perfectly. There's going to be people who are going to get mad. There always is. But the best solution is to keep it neutral. If you have three groups living in there, they're going to fight. It's going to be less fighting if you have little groups, as you guys said, that are going to be trying to take over the land, or aren't agreeing with what we're saying.
Jen?
You guys said that you were going to exile certain people from certain religions because they shouldn't be there. Aren't you going to be starting a genocide then? What is going to lead to genocide, right?
Exile is
Exile
not
isn't
genocide.
genocide. Genocide is removal of the whole race. We're just going to be banning them from the country so they can't go visit the country.
And it's not the entire group of people. It'll be one person that decides to fight that will be removed.
Or whoever is.
But couldn't that be perceived as a genocide for, all of the Muslim extremists?
No, because genocide is killing the whole race. We're not killing anybody.
Going back to exile, how would you keep people out? Because if you look at the Gaza Strip right now, or the West Bank, sorry, they have the barrier going up, but how do you know it's going to stop people from coming here? Are you going to build a barrier?
No, the barrier didn't work before. So
then
we're
what
not
are you
going to
going to do?
do
How are
that.
you going to keep people out of the borders?
troops of the UN should be able to keep them out of that.
So you're gonna have troops around the entire border?
They should be able to protect them from.
And you know you're risking people's lives by doing that.
But if you have,
You're putting more people at risk if you do not do this.
So
Thank you.
we're running out of time.
Sorry, that's 5 minutes.
The representative from the Jerusalem, Judaism, Islam.
Do you support the Islamic extremists? No, we do not support extremists. We don't appreciate terrorists just as much as you guys do. They give us a bad name and they just don't help the problem. And can you please explain what steps you are prepared to take in order to prevent them from harming others? Explain what steps you are prepared to take in order to prevent them from harming others. We are going to stop them through, we'll try to make a treaty with them and try to get them to understand that we do not appreciate what they are doing, and if that fails, we'll have to, I guess, fight them.
Around the 1940s, can you please explain to us what happened when you tried to unite the Arab nations?
It failed because our leaders fought with each other. But we believe that if we try to reunite everybody with all the nations, that it will work better because we have more knowledge, you know, than we do.
But the last time you tried to unite them, you united them with a different country that was not of Muslim religion, and they backed out.
We're all Muslim in this, except Israel.
Okay, when India was partitioned, who acquired Pakistan?
We did. So,
Pakistan.
That's not our holy
It's
land.
not a
What's
holy
the
land,
majority of the religion in Pakistan?
Muslim.
but it's not a
But
holy
it's not our
land.
holy
Do you know the branches of which religion is the majority in West Bank and Gaza Strip, which is owned by the Palestinian government?
Here's the question.
Do you know what branches of which religion is the majority in West Bank and Gaza Strip, which is owned by the Palestinian government?
There's a majority of our extremist groups there because they have been able to retake the land.
So they're Muslim.
Yeah, it's a different branch. We don't support the terror. We don't support the extremes. We're not trying to be violent.
And how many branches of Islam are there around?
Two.
Two.
There's more than
The Sunnis and Shiites and the Shiites also.
So if you were to propose a solution where one person from Islam would have control
There's
over
more than one
part of
Christianity group,
Jerusalem.
there's more than one Judaism group.
Yes, but
There's a lot of
there's a lot of other branches. So when you, in the solution, were to say that one leader from Islam would have control of part of Jerusalem,
We will have,
which branch would do that?
we would have the majority group, like the Christianity would have the majority group. You can't pick one Protestant group or one Roman Catholic group, there'd be too many. You have to choose the majority, and that for Judaism, all the Jewish people could then vote on which person they want to rule.
But then wouldn't it be rigged because the groups with less people would vote for their leader?
They would hopefully vote for who they believe best. We cannot control what someone votes for.
Nicole?
If you
own, like if you have Jerusalem and Mecca and Medina is where Muhammad was born and preached, then why do you need Jerusalem? And you also have Pakistan, and you also have the Gaza Strip and West Bank. Then why do you deserve Jerusalem if you already have two holy lands over every other religion?
Pakistan is not,
No, but Mecca and Medina. You have those plus 3 other.
we don't have control of them either.
Yes, you do. You have the majority of Pakistan and Gaza Strip and West Bank. Plus you have two holy lands, Mecca and Medina. Why would you need Jerusalem?
Okay, really quick, close question. So if you're not in control of it, it's not considered your homeland, even though a lot of holy places exist there for your religion? Because Jerusalem is owned by the Jewish right now, but it's still a holy land to Christianity,
Muslims.
We understand that it's a holy land for everyone.
So how come you do not perceive Pakistan, West Bank, or Gaza Strip as a holy land just because you're not controlling it?
Because it's just part of Israel, there's no holy location there, there's not like an ancient mosque
What
there.
about Mecca?
It's a holy land. It's not the one holy, probably.
She cut us off. She cut us off to ask.
We had genocide too.
What is your solution again? Because I'm completely confused. Because you guys are acting like you want the whole land to yourselves and not split it between the three religions.
You want to make a whole country called Jerusalem and all three of our religions again share.
What gives you the authority to do that?
What do you mean?
Like, how are you gonna do that? Because isn't that what they did with the formation of Israel, and a lot of people got angry with that? So, it seems like you're just doing the same thing, it's just,
Creating a new nation with a democracy from all of the different religions. How is that? How is that? I don't get your question.
my question is, you're saying you're gonna make one Muslim, you're gonna make one state of Jerusalem, the whole thing, and everyone's gonna share it. But, like, some people don't wanna do that, so. Benjamin?
You wanna make it one whole land, right? But isn't most of that land that you're gonna combine with yours? The West Bank and the Gaza Strip, isn't that yours? So wouldn't you have more control?
Sorry to cut, but you guys have asked a lot of questions. Let this group ask some.
Is it true that in your opening speech you said that you claim that you own 3 holy lands, which one includes Jerusalem? Is that true?
Yeah.
Then why do you need Jerusalem if you have Mecca, Medina, which Muhammad, your supreme prophet, your prophet was born and preached there? Why would you need Jerusalem?
Because that's where he died, and he goes to heaven. That's important also.
I know, but you have 3, and everyone else doesn't have it. Jerusalem's their one.
We're the fastest growing religion, and we're going to have majority there, so.
Okay, Kyle?
How do you want to split the land? Equally or by population?
We're not splitting land, we're sharing.
So if one person, how are you gonna, who's gonna own it?
Nobody's going to own it. We're going to share it. All 3 religions are going to collaboratively vote on different things, and they're going to take care of the land, and they will make sure that everyone gets an equal share of it.
Okay. Denise?
If you said you would want people to vote for it, like which people are you going to decide? United States have the senators from each state. Then how would you decide the people from the religion from like Islam, Christianity have a little population.
She's saying like, if Christianity's got a low percentage of the population,
Christianity
how
is
are they gonna have an
Christian
equal
leader.
share of the vote? Because there's 3 religions, but because Judaism is most predominant in Israel, so if you're gonna give equal share of the vote like they did whole thing with the United States, with the problems between the big states and the little states, it's kind of the same thing here. How are you gonna
The Christians are going to vote for their Christian leader, and then the leader is going to help make decisions, and there'll be another branch underneath them that will then help decide which one will be passed, and like what will happen.
So there's 3 separate leaders?
Yeah, there's 2 separate leaders working together.